When Maureen and I were like starting Long Shot Books, we actually had we had serious conversations about how we want to approach the publishing process, and that is what led to the double blind submission process that we're currently developing. And a big reason for that is because of just how absolutely cruddy publishing houses are, a lot of them. How arrogant they are. How judgmental. It's like Heather's, it's like Mean Girls. And they're so open, they're so blatant. If you look at these publishers' Twitter feeds, if you just like look up publishers, agents, especially the independent ones, because they're like the big fish in little pond going on, it's disgusting. I mean, really, like that's I recently decided to self-publish a book on my own, which I got mixed feelings on self-publishing, but I don't want to work with these people. They disgust me. A lot of them are just straight scum. And the funny thing is, this whole video is going to be about the opposite kind of message, even though that's how I feel about a lot of these characters. So this is an article that a lot of people that I see in the publishing world are sharing, and I think it's more telling people sharing the article than the article being written. However, it's concerning. It's disconcerting. It's another word with "cun" in it, like cuntish. So the article is called 10 Types of Writers We Need to Throw Down a Well. It's a promising start so far. So the first thing I want to say is that the first sentence to me, I write arrogant stuff, especially on our blog. But the joke is always that I'm more of a Woody Allen than I am like a John Rambo type. Yeah. Usually, if I make a misogynistic claim in the same article, I will make an equally harsh claim about not being able to pleasure a woman. The joke being I'm clearly not fit for that kind of language. I don't fancy myself a Lil Wayne or something, unless I'm drunk, in which case I wholly believe that I am. Anyhow, it is written by a dude named Gabino Iglesias. I apologize if I said his name wrong. But the first sentence here is, sometimes I wake up and feel like there's too many motherfuckers out there who need to be called out. On most days, my to-do list is so long that I have to ignore that feeling and work on stuff that needs to get done. However, there are a few glorious days in which I say, yeah, screw the to-do list. Let's make some assholes angry today. Today's one of those days. Why? Because I'm tired of seeing the same shit over and over again. Yeah, I can already feel folks unfollowing me on Twitter, trying their best to turn their acidic reactions to this post into a witty response, and writing blog posts in response to my words. I'm used to it by now, and your hate feeds me and helps me grow. I'm sorry. Damn, homie. That's all I can really say. So, like, this is clearly an example of insecurity. I don't think this dude believes he's trying to sell himself as this tough dude in the opening period. It doesn't seem ironic like mine does, or many writers will. It seems like he's trying to be tough. He's trying. I ain't buying it. It doesn't work for me. And I'm not trying to make fun of the guy too much. I do want to make serious points in this video, which will be very long. It's already almost 4 minutes, and I apologize for that. But the important thing is, and the reason I read this paragraph, is because, hear me out on this. I can already feel folks on following winter trying their best to turn their acidic reactions post into a witty response. Your hate feeds me and helps me grow. So what he's immediately saying is, if you don't like my writing, if you disagree with this article, it's not because you have different ideas. It's not because we might disagree or just have different perspectives even. You're hateful. You're a motherfucker. Because he's so clearly right. He shouldn't have to justify himself. He shouldn't be challenged. He's perfect, and so is this article. So if you disagree, you're just garbage. You need thrown down. You need thrown down a well. Sorry, I got a text there. So the first thing in here is victims of misandry in publishing. I have some experience with this. I did an article about that in college about like who gets published more, men or women. It was actually like an 80-page essay. And it was total garbage because my professor was total garbage, so she made me change all this stuff to suit what she wanted. I'm not saying she's biased because she's a lesbian. I'm just saying she's a lesbian and therefore biased, and wanted that kind of confirmation bias for the victim narrative on her own end. And this is the thing Marina and I talked about a lot when we started Long Shot Books, because I see it on both ends. I see men saying, "Oh, only women get published," and I see women saying, "Oh, only straight white men get published." I don't want to deal with that. So it's like, let's just not know their race. Let's not know their gender. We'll just publish the best book, immediately remove any sense of identity from the publishing process, and the best book wins. It seemed like a simple solution to me. So here's the logic. First of all, back in April, the hashtag misandry in publishing was a real thing. Can you believe it? It boiled down to angry men complaining about how women control publishing, and that's why they don't get published. First of all, okay, so like when something is trending on Twitter, that means there's thousands of people sharing it. And there's a lot of things on Twitter. I don't follow Twitter that much, but I know a lot of people that share stupid shit that I just disagree with. Does that mean I think they're all idiots? Does that mean I think they're all racist or sexist because they might have different experience or different thoughts on one subject than me? No, usually not. I mean, I understand this guy's such a fucking genius. He could write off the whole thing. I'm sure there's a lot of trolls on Twitter. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt there's a lot of angry dudes that just suck and can't get published and might blame that on women or publishing. But it makes me wonder, like, what if the same thing was said about women? What if they said men control publishing and women have a harder time getting published? Oh, wait. Our friend Gabino here does that in the same fucking paragraph. Give me a second here. Seriously, if you think it's tough for heterosexual white men to get published, you need to get educated and shut the fuck up. It's like, he's not going to educate you. He's not going to give you examples. He won't give you one anecdotal shred of evidence as to these tweets. It's just the hashtag existed, therefore publishing's all sexist against women. He told you that there's a hashtag, therefore all. Oh, damn it! I hate when I'm trying to be business. I'm getting cute text here. Anyhow, yeah. So he's making fun of people complaining about identity politics and all that. And like, I bet you a taco. That's his actual word. He's so clever and quirky. I bet you a taco that the work of most of these assholes complaining simply sucks so hard that no sane woman or man would touch it. Okay, so like, because they have different political ideas than you, they're shitty writers by default. Really, that's what we're going with here. And a lot of them probably, yeah. I see his point. Like, there's a lot of people who probably do blame their own failures on other people or just aren't good fits. We've all been rejected. I get that, but like, it's just unfair. Basically, what he's saying is, listen, some people have this opinion, and I don't. And I'm a good person. But if you disagree with me, you're like this person. You're like the guy over here who's an asshole. So if you think this way, you're an asshole. So you need thrown down a well. All right, point two of like 10. I'm so sorry. Writers who are convinced PC culture is ruining publishing. See, this is a funny thing. All these people who are against bullying, all these people who want equality, all these people who want kindness and acceptance and tolerance, which are all good concepts. I'm not saying that these ideas at their core are wrong. They use it as an excuse to bully other people, to put other people down. There's a line by the band Say Anything. Of course I'm going to quote Say Anything, because I'm me. Activism, the new pissing contest. And that's really how it feels. Like I'm more politically correct than you, so I'm a better person than you. Yeah, I'm not getting too far into that, but like, that's the vibe it gets. I really get the vibe, like, I don't think you're a good person. I think that you say good things. I don't know if he's a bad person, but like, the whole thing is just a thinly veiled attempt to just belittle other people and to be rude and mean and angry, and he's hating in the name of love is essentially what he's doing in this article. So I'm gonna get to the quotes. Yes, the blacks and the browns and the gays and the women are coming for you. Identity politics is the devil that's preventing your work from getting published. It's unfair that people give you shit for writing awful, cliched fiction in disrespectful ways about shit you know nothing about. Ha ha, just kidding. What? I can't help but read it in that sense, because I feel like a crazy person wrote this article. I feel like it's written by some raving lunatic, like myself, like a negatod. I said nega, like Scott Pilgrim versus the world. I was nega Scott. I didn't mean it as in like, the N word with a soft A at the end, if that's what you were thinking. So, so here's the thing. This is what sums up this dude's article and why it's such arrogant, thoughtless bullshit. This sentence here. I don't have to read your work to know it's mostly about people and things you don't understand. It's packed with silly cliches, and you've probably never heard about psychogeography or diversity. In fact, I don't even have to listen to you because I already know you think rape jokes are funny. The hashtag MeToo movement is evil, and you regularly use words like snowflake, wrong speak, and PC police. Here's my PC message to you. Please see how nice I am. Fuck off. The part see how nice I am is in parentheses. It's, I don't know. He thinks he's a goddamn happy bunny or something. So like, I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to hear your side of the story because I'm right. I'm so right. I'm such a nice person that if I disagree, you're just a piece of shit. You're worthless. Why would anybody have a conversation with you? If I disagree with you on one thing, then you're just garbage. And then, I've done videos on this, on like PC stuff and publishing. I'm not entirely against it. I'm not, it's a complex issue. I'll just leave it at that. But like, the way it's just like black and white to this dude. And I'm just moving on from there. I just think that sums it up. His sentence about, I don't need to read your book to know shit. I don't need to listen to your opinion to know that you're shit. It's just the worst thing. It's just really disgusting, awful rhetoric. 3. Writers who respond to Facebook comments with a link to their book or who recommend their own work when someone asks for book recommendations. Uh, yeah, that's pretty irritating. That's a fair point. I'm with you on that one, dude. I mean, I don't think they need to throw down a well, but I understand it's a comedic article and it's going to use extremes and hyperboles to get that message across. But yeah, we're 1 for 3 so far. Writers who constantly refer to themselves as hardcore, edgy, or extreme. I kind of get that because like why would you refer to yourself that way? That is a little awkward, but marketing's awkward. You have to sell yourself. I know I've had people talking to me about books and like, yeah, you need to use like sex appeal. you know, saying that to a guy like me is like, well, um, yeah, that ain't happening. But it's true. It's a weird thing, and even YouTube content creators talk about making the thumbnails and how awkward it is to like pose and do like and that kind of stuff. So and I don't do that. I don't bother. I think it's weird. But yeah, it's weird. It's awkward, and so I think in the same way, a lot of these hardcore, edgy, or extreme writers get that, especially when they're referring to themselves that way. I think that is strange. However, yeah. So here's God giving us the scripture on this subject. If you want to read bad, utterly unnecessary rape scenes, fantasies really, and violence done wrong, read these motherfuckers. These purveyors of bland, repetitive, weak fiction are a dime a dozen online. Now, here's my issue with it. What about Last House on the Left? What about Hard Candy? What about and there's plenty of movies like this. One of my favorites, Lilia Forever. Like a lot of these movies depict rape or violence aren't doing it because rape's awesome, because violence is awesome. The thing with horror is you're supposed to be like, no, I don't want this to happen. This is a horrible thing. It's horror. That's suspense. You're not like jerking off to it. At least in most of it, there is stuff like that. But I'm friends with a lot of extreme authors, and actually saw them share this article because they were hurt by this, because their own publishers were sharing this article, and they're like, I'm not a sexist. I'm not. I hate rape. I write about rape because I think rape's horrifying. It can be cathartic. What if you were raped and so you write about such an issue in your fiction, and it's extreme? Is that invalid then? Does a rape victim not have the right to do that because it's clearly a fantasy? I mean, this guy said that's what it is. What if a woman writes extreme fiction about her own rape? I mean, what about like I don't know, a Sylvia Plath type or something? Is she not allowed to do that? Is she just a pervert? Clearly, because this guy said so. That's really all I have to say on that. I know a lot of people in the extreme fiction genre that just aren't that way, and I think it's really unfair, and I hate hearing already that this article is hurting their careers. I'm sorry, my hair looks absolutely terrible tonight, but it's been the end of a long day. Writers who use fake blurbs. So this one's basically, I'm just going to sum it up. people who use blurbs from like anonymous comments or don't quote the people using the blurbs. It's pretty fair. That's irritating. It's weird. I've never seen it. I suppose this happened. I'll give the benefit of doubt on this one, even though I like some evidence. See, I went to school for English, and so did this guy. I did my homework on this guy. Usually, how it is for each point you make, I believe you're supposed to use three examples. We'll say two, but at least one. But he's not doing this here, and I get they might want to dox people. You don't want to call people out individually, but I feel like for some of these, it's necessary to use, like, if it happens all that much, if it's the same thing over and over and over again, like he says at the opening paragraph, then I'm pretty sure it'd be pretty fucking simple to use one example. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just so abundant that he can't even pick one example out because he's overwhelmed by how much is happening. And I don't know. I kind of think the dude's just bitter and exaggerating, but that's just me. Writers who call themselves things no one has ever called them. The leading voice in whatever, a cult whatever, the next whatever, whatever. I get that. I'm cool with that one. Writers who are absolutely, and this is number seven, writers who are absolutely fucking perfect, and that's why they self-publish and refuse to work with an editor. Here's my issue with this. Um, I get it. There are a lot of bad self-published books out there. I've written quite a few of them. I work with editors, actually. A lot of my books have been edited by more than one person. And it even says here, mellow out, folks. This isn't directed at you. I get where he's coming from to some extent, but my only issue here is that, like, some editors are pricks. Like, I'm not saying they're all bad, but, like, I get it. Articles like this and seeing editors share it, I think, yeah, I don't want to submit my stuff to you. I don't think you're going to handle my work with care. I think that you're going to be very judgmental and critical in a negative sense, and you want to tear people down. You don't want to help them. And I'm not saying all editors are like this, but a lot of them are, and I get why some authors are just like, no, I don't want involved in that. That's why I started my publishing house with Marine because there's so much bullying, there's so much gatekeeper, so many gatekeepers, so much elitism that it, it I get it. People feel pushed out. And this is talking about people that are too arrogant, that think they don't need a publisher or an editor. Um, I guess I just don't see the harm. How's that bug this person? Somebody writes a shitty book and it doesn't sell. Boo hoo. You gonna go to a craft store and complain? What? You gonna sell your fucking scarves? You can't get a name brand to sell your scarves? Constant complainers. I think this one's probably oh no, I'm sorry. If people say writing is hard, editing is a pain, deadlines are horrible. I kind of agree. Actually, writing's pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie. Like like being a carpenter is probably a lot harder than being a writer, I think. But I see where he's coming from here, but it is work. And I kind of get why people do it, but it's also like you're lucky to live in a time and position where you can write on some professional level. I don't necessarily love the way that he addresses it here because that kind of angry motherfuckers be doing this kind of shit. But like, I see where he's coming from. It's fair enough. Nine, screw that genre. Writers. It's in parentheses with an exclamation point at the end for this. Screw that genre. And I don't know. I see where he's coming from, I guess. I just don't see that happen ever. I've been in the publishing world about a decade now, and I've never seen any of these things happen once. And I'm not saying my perspective is the perspective and that he hasn't. However, I just find it kind of odd that the only people I see talk about this happening all the time, or people talk about it happening all the time. I never see any examples. I never see anybody actually perpetuating any of these things. I just see people complaining about it being so abundant and so relentless that it's unavoidable, except I've just happened to avoid it and never had a single fucking instance of any of these things happening. So this is number 10, and this is a strange one. I can't even address it. I'll just read it. Writers who try to trademark words, comma, rape slash racism apologists, comma, and abusers. It's a little, it's quite the spectrum. The writers who try to trademark words, like we'll say Taylor Swift, with she wanted to do, I forget that she tried to trademark some kind of phrase. Like, who cares? It's stupid. And then rape, racism apologists and abusers. So like, those are all the same thing, roughly. Like in terms of like horribleness, Like they're getting same thrown down the same well, or at least a well of equal depth. I don't know. Those are quite different things. I see abusers and rape racism apologists maybe, but so is a racist the same as a rapist? I mean, I'd rather like be around a dude who might use a racial slur or two, unironically, than someone who fucking rapes people or abuses people. That's just me. Like I'm not saying any one of them's good, but there's different shades of gray here. And I'd rather be around someone who tried to trademark a word than any of those things. So here's the paragraph. Here's the reasoning here. Fuck them all. They're a huge pimple on the face of literature. We need to throw them all down a deep, dark well. This is his whole thing. Here's a straw man. Here's a caricature of a person. Fuck that straw man. And that's it. There's no real reason here. It's not like this is wrong, here's why it's wrong, here's how you can make it better. Problem solution. There's no here's the issue, here's a few examples of the issue, here's why it's an issue. It's just see this thing? Fuck this thing. Yeah. It's really lazy writing, to be honest. And here's what my real point in this video and what made me decide to actually make it. If anybody's watched this long, thank you. I went through the dude's stuff. I did my research on Gabino Iglesias. Once again, I don't know about the name. And like I don't know if I get along with him. He's a pretty brash guy, and so am I, but in very different manners. But like I'm not gonna be as hateful towards him as I feel he is towards RP. I feel like he's writing off a lot in the literary community. I think he's really spreading a lot of shade, and I'm making fun of his video. I'm being kind of harsh. So I want to end on a positive note, and so like, if we want to prove this guy wrong, like horror writers, extreme writers, rapists, self-publishing authors, whatever, the best thing to do is be kind and say like, you know what, you're wrong about me. I'm not this horrible, evil, hateful person. I'm actually going to try to be nice to you, even though you're mean to me, and prove you wrong through kindness. What was that? The Smiths lyric I quote every day. It's easy to laugh, it's easy to hate. It takes strength to be gentle and kind. That's what we got to do to this guy. So I looked up some of his other articles, and he has one, Fucking Franco, a Frank opera in 3 acts about how he hates James Franco. So do I. We got common ground there, man. I'm going to do most readings suck. Here's how to fix it. This is an article that this guy wrote for Clash magazine, the same magazine, and it's got kind of some of that tough guy motherfucking stuff, but it's a pretty decent article. It's got good advice. I don't think he's without talent. I enjoyed that article that he wrote that I read in full. Let's see. And speaking of the hashtag misandry literature, I looked it up. I googled it, and I found one example. It's quick Google, and I don't trust Google's search engine, to be honest, to be totally accurate towards everything, because it's based on hit count and all that. So you're just gonna get the most popular publications on that. But anyhow, The Guardian had 2 articles on a think piece on why it was horrible sexist bullshit, and probably just used a few troll examples of the tweets. I don't know. I don't really care about the subject, to be honest, at all. But I saw one about a publishing house I did see a big hubbub about, with No Men Allowed. Publisher accepts novelist Year of Women challenge, in which a publishing house only accepts submissions from women. And that is published by The Guardian. So like I saw this and I don't like it. I think it's stupid on the publishing house's thing, but I kind of feel like if they want to do that and people don't want to submit to them, that's both of their rights. I don't really care if you don't want to accept men's books, but I also don't really care if some men decide not to submit to you because of it. That's all I could find on the subject, and I didn't put that much effort into it. However, this dude has a book called, it's interesting. It's really cool, actually. Sorry, I'm having to try to get the link up. And I wanted to end it with kind of a wreck for the guy. It's called Gut Mouth. And it's published by Eraserhead Press, which is a Bizarro author series. And here's a description on Amazon. He has a mouth in his gut. An obnoxious, toothy, foul-mouthed pig of a mouth. Luckily, his girlfriend doesn't seem to mind. Marie, the one-legged stripper and cyber prostitute love of his life, is very accepting of it. And then a little too accepting. What would you do if your girlfriend cheated on you with the voracious yapper under your belly button? I can't even. I'm reading this, and here's the thing. Like, it sounds really fun. It sounds like a fun book. I legitimately might buy this book at some point because I want to read it. I mean, I only looked at it because I hate this guy's article. So here's the funny thing though. I'm just gonna skip the other description. Your your best friend is a misogynistic rat man. So, if extreme authors who might write about rape or murder, therefore fantasize about rape or murder, what's what's Gabino doing writing about one-legged stripper and cyber prostitute? What's he doing writing about misogynistic rat men? Does that mean he must be a misogynist? Does that mean he has something against strippers? Because applying his own logic to his own writing, all of a sudden, the House of Cards kind of collapses there now, doesn't it? I mean, Gabino, you're not going to watch this video. I know you're not going to watch this video because you can't accept criticism. But if anybody watches the video, let's just pretend that this is Gabino's here. Like, you know, I mean, I feel like more people are willing to accept you than in your writing than you're willing to accept other people, and it's cool. I wish this dude would reach out to me. I hope he gets really furious about his fucking video and messages me because I love to talk to him because I have a feeling he's probably a lot cooler than the video or than the article comes off, and I just think he's being very unfair, and I actually think it's downright disturbing to see so many publishers accepting. I'm sorry. There's this weird. That's what's going on in front of me right now. It would distract you too. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the world's a lot nicer to Gabino than Gabino's being to the world right now, and it really kind of pisses me off. That's what I got. This is a 27-minute video. I'm sorry.